At this time, Mr. Jones has authorized me to enter a plea of no contest to the soon-to-be amended charge of principal to tampering with evidence. It is section 777.011 Florida statute.
I'm sorry, give me the statute number again.
I believe it's 777.011, Your Honor,
Okay.
with the recommendation of a withhold adjudication placed on probation for 6 months that will be transferred to the state of Georgia. Credit for 2 days time served. And the state has included in the plea form that the state will not use this offense as a predicate act in any subsequent prosecution in this jurisdiction. We have executed the plea of no contest form with my client's signature and we tender to the court.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the state has agreed, we didn't include any address or anything in Georgia, that the address that he will be staying at in Georgia would remain confidential and provided directly to probation and not made part of public record.
And the standard court costs as a condition of probation would be $516, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fusco,
Yes, sir, I believe that's correct.
any other terms and conditions of the probation?
I appreciate you asking that, Your Honor. I believe there's one condition that should have been on the plea form, and now that Your Honor mentions it, I don't think that we had included it at this time. But it was that he have no contact with the listed individuals in Your Honor's court order that has been filed in court that allowed him to travel. And so if I may just have a moment, I can get that specific line in court.
Is that correct, Mr. Fusco?
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize. I forgot to include that. It is the list of names mentioned on the order granting defendant's motion to travel. I believe there's 6, give or take, 6 individuals on that list.
All right, and that list just needs to be supplied to the probation office.
Yes, sir.
Is this the state's recommendation in this case?
It is, Your Honor.
It's within the guidelines,
Yes, sir.
and the state's agreeing to the plea to the amended charge of tampering with evidence principle pursuant to Florida statutes.
We are, Your Honor, under Florida statute 918.13, subsection 1A. That is tampering with evidence, and it is a third-degree felony. The 777, Your Honor, is the principal part of it.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And Officer Sermon, the probation can be transferred to the state of Georgia.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Fusco, you're aware of that $100 probation transfer fee?
Yes, Your Honor, that wouldn't be a problem.
And the court would dismiss the civil infractions.
Yes, sir, we would request the dismissal of the civil infraction.
Any objection from the state?
No, sir.
Mr. Jones, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down. Your name is Charles Andrew Jones II.
Yes, sir.
You've heard what your attorney has said, that you wish to plead no contest to the third-degree felony of tampering with evidence as a principal. The maximum sentence for that could have been up to 5 years in prison. Is that what you wish to do, is plead no contest to that charge?
Yes, sir.
Have you had enough time to speak to your attorney about what you're doing today?
Yes, sir.
You satisfied with his advice and representation?
Yes, sir.
You under the influence of anything this afternoon?
No, sir.
Anybody threaten you or promise you anything to get you to enter this plea,
No, sir.
other than the plea agreement? Other than the plea agreement, has anybody promised you anything?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, I phrased that very poorly. And you're pleading no contest because you believe it's in your best interest to do that.
Yes, sir.
You understand you can plead not guilty and have a jury trial. We were actually set for a trial on the original charge for next week. And if I accept your plea and sentence you to the plea agreement, we will not have the trial. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Parties stipulate to a factual basis for purposes of the plea.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor, for purposes of the plea.
And for purposes of the plea, the court finds a factual basis exists for the entry of the plea. Is there any DNA evidence known to exist that would exonerate the defendant?
None known to the state.
None known to the defense, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones, you understand if you were not a citizen of the United States, the entry of the plea could subject you to deportation.
Yes, sir.
And you understand if this were a sexually motivated offense, or if you've been convicted of one before, that the entry of the plea could subject you to a civil commitment.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Jones, Mr. Fusco went over with you this blue form that I'm holding up called plea of no contest.
Yes, sir.
Did you understand everything on the form as he read it to you?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Any questions about anything that's on the form?
No, sir.
Any questions about anything that's happening here today?
No, sir.
The court finds that Mr. Jones's plea is freely, knowingly, and voluntarily entered with a full understanding of the nature and consequences of the plea. Therefore, the court accepts your no contest plea to the third-degree felony of tampering with evidence as a principal. The court will withhold adjudication of guilt, place you on 6 months of probation with the following special conditions. You'll serve 2 days in the Duval County Jail with credit for 2 days' time served. You will pay $516 in court costs. Your probation will be allowed to transfer to the state of Georgia, where your address will remain confidential. You need to supply that to the probation office, of course, however, but will not be in any court orders relating to this case. And there is a $100 transfer fee for the probation, which you'll be required to pay. The state agrees not to use this plea and sentence as a predicate act in this jurisdiction. Is that right, Ms. Owens?
That is correct, Your Honor.
As a condition of probation, Mr. Jones, you are not allowed to have contact with these 6 individuals.
Yes, sir.
6 individuals who were previously listed in a court order in this case that you're not allowed to have contact with. And you know who those 6 individuals are,
Yes, sir.
right? And that will be, those names will be supplied to the probation office. And again, you will not be allowed to have contact with them during the period of time that you're on probation. The court will dismiss the civil infractions in this case. Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing
Defense?
from the defense, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones, you have 30 days to appeal this sentence if you believe it to be unlawful. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Treat your probation seriously. You will need to see the probation officer before you leave, and that will conclude your hearing in this case.
Thank you.
Yes,
Very
sir.
much, Your Honor. That's all that I have. Any excuse?
Thank you, Mr. Fusco. Thank you, Ms. Owens. Yes,
Thank
you're
you,
both
Your Honor.
excused and court is in recess.